What's the best season of the year? Summer? No. Winter? Close, but no. It's tax refund season. Millions of Americans count down the days until they can get their tax refund because now you can take this free money and go to Benihana's or get some extra guac. Well, I hate to break it to you, but as a licensed attorney who's not your attorney, who keeps a copy of the federal income tax code in his office, which by the way is more than 2,000 pages long, if you are excited about a big tax refund, you are getting ripped off and you are losing money. That's why today I'm gonna go over the 7 money habits that keep so many Americans broke, starting with number 1, you get excited about a big tax refund. Let's assume that you make $60,000 a year. For my male followers, I drew a mustache, which in my native language Punjabi, we call a much. For my female followers, I drew a braid. In my native language Punjabi, we call it a gut. Last year you made $60,000 and you automatically paid $17,000 in tax because this money was taken out of your income before you even saw it. But then, after you filed your taxes this year, you realized that you only needed to pay $14,000 in taxes, which means you overpaid $3,000 in taxes to the United States government, which means you're gonna get a $3,000 refund. Now, some people get very excited because you're gonna get this big refund check, but here's what this actually means. It means you overpaid $3,000 in taxes. It means you gave the government a $3,000 loan at 0% APR because now the government had this $3,000 in their account. They could use that money and then they just give it back to you next year at 0% interest. If you just kept this $3,000 in a high yield savings account, you'd at least be getting some interest. But when you overpay in taxes, you're lending your money to the government, you're getting 0% interest in return, and they love it when you overpay in taxes. So what can you do instead? Well, the IRS has a tax withholding estimator that you can use for free to get a better understanding of how much money you can be paying in taxes so you don't keep overpaying. And then you can go to your company's payroll or your W-4 form and make an adjustment. That way you don't keep overpaying in taxes. And in case you were wondering, I had to re-record this clip, which is why the color of my turban changed. Now, let's go back to the original color. Number 2, you ask, can I buy it? Not can I afford it. Let's assume you have $100 in your bank account and you walk on over to the Gucci store and you see this amazingly ugly scarf on sale for $1,000 that you need to have. Now, if you have $100 in your bank account, you might say, well, Jaspreet, I definitely can't afford that, but you can definitely buy it. Because Gucci would love to sell you the financing and the scarf because now they're making money on you twice. They're selling you the product and they're selling you the financing. And if Gucci doesn't give you the financing, Visa will, MasterCard will, American Express will. Finding the financing isn't that difficult. But now let's take it one step further. Let's assume that you have $1,000 in your bank account. Now you walk into the Gucci store, you see that same scarf. Now you might say, Jaspreet, I got the money. Now I can afford it, right? Absolutely not. This is why so many Americans are broke. They assume that if I have $1,000 that I can buy a $1,000 scarf. And this is why so many people live paycheck to paycheck. They have little to no savings, they have little to no investments, and they wonder why they can never be financially free. If every time you have $1, you spend $1, you're never gonna be able to become wealthy. And this is where you have to understand the 2 rules when it comes to spending money. Rule number 1, if it does not put money in your pocket, you do not finance it. Not even 0% APR financing. If it does not put money in your pocket and Gucci is not putting money in your pocket, you're putting the money in Gucci's pocket, you do not finance it, period. The only exception is your house. Rule number 2 is when it's a luxury, something like a Gucci scarf, you can buy it, but follow my rule of 5. If you can't buy 5 of them, you can't afford 1 of them. Money habit number 3, you would rather drive a BMW than become wealthy. The average new car payment in America is $742 a month. So when you walk into the BMW dealership and you want to buy this car, you're gonna put down $8,000 to buy this car, and then you're gonna pay $500 a month, $600 a month, $700 a month, maybe even $1,000 a month to drive on this car. But that's not all. Now that you have a luxury car, you also got the premium gas. You also have the more expensive insurance because it's a more expensive car, and you also have the more expensive oil changes. So now you're paying $1,000 a month to drive around in this car after you put $8,000 down. But what happens now if you flip the script? Because many people now who are driving around these luxury cars unfortunately cannot afford them because you have no extra money to save or invest, but you have a nice car. You look rich, but you're really just making BMW rich and the financing company rich. Let's flip the script, because now we know that if it doesn't put money in your pocket and your BMW is not putting any money in your pocket, you shouldn't finance it. You should be buying it in cash. And if you say, Jaspreet, I don't have $60,000 to buy this BMW in cash, you can't afford it. So what do? You need a car. You take this $8,000 that you put down as your down payment, and you use this to go out and buy a beat-down Toyota Camry or a beat-down Toyota Corolla. Now, this is going to sound a little bit extreme. I mean, who wants to drive around in a car that they can actually afford? But the reality is, this will allow you to actually build wealth. And I'm speaking from experience here. I drove my beat-down Toyota Solara for years. I had employees that drove better cars than me. My car had rust on the side. I had 3 different types of rims on the car. I didn't even have a bumper on the car for the last year or 2 years that I had my car, but I kept driving it, even though I was making good money. Why? Because I wanted to keep hammering out my investments. Let me show you the power of this, because when you save that $600 or $1,000 a month, you can put that money to work. If instead of paying $600 a month to BMW, you take the $600 a month and you pay yourself, not by going to the Gucci store, by investing this money into the markets, well, now you could grow your money by, let's call it 10% a year. By the way, that is lower than the average historical stock market return. You're just putting your money into the markets, you're putting your money into the economy. Well, now if you do this for, say, 25 years, after 25 years, you're going to have over $775,000. In this instance, you would have 0, because as soon as you pay off your car, you're going to buy a nicer car and then a nicer car. So you just keep paying this money anyways. But now instead of paying it to BMW and Mercedes and Jaguar and Porsche, you're paying this money to yourself, and now you have $750,000. But here's where it gets interesting. What if you did it now for 25 years, but instead you did it for 35 years? Now, you're not going to have $775,000. You're not going to have $1 million. You're not going to have $1.5 million. You're not going to have $2 million. You're going to have over $2.1 million. Why? Because you focused on building your wealth first. Everybody wants the BMW today, and then they say, I'll become wealthy later, and then most people never become wealthy. But if you focus on your wealth first, you say no to the car that you can't afford right now, well, now you can have the wealth and buy the nice car without worrying about the price, because now your investments can buy you that car. You don't have to worry about the price because your investments are paying it for you. So when you want the BMW first, you sacrifice your wealth. But when you build the wealth first, now you can have whatever car you want and not worry about the price. By the way, if you like to stay on top of what's happening in the financial markets and you want to learn how to invest, my team at Briefs Media publishes a free daily newsletter called Market Briefs, where we break down what's happening in things like the economy, the stock market, the housing market, the crypto market, and the global economy into a fun and witty and easy to read newsletter. We have hundreds of thousands of investors that read Market Briefs every day, and when you join Market Briefs, you'll also get access to a free investing masterclass just as a bonus for joining Market Briefs. So if you want to join Market Briefs for free, I got the link for you to join down in the description below. Money habit number 4 is you want to wait until all the stars align to start investing. You might have said or heard somebody say one of these things. I will start investing when I have more money. I'll start investing next year. I'll start investing when the economy is better. I'll start investing when the economy is worse. Investing is risky. Why would I want to invest my money? Because tomorrow's not guaranteed. Well, instead of lecturing you that you should start investing, let me just show you why. Let's say you want to retire by 67 and you learn about this financial education and investing side of things very early. So you start investing at the age of 21, but you don't have a ton of money to invest. So you're only investing $100 a month, which by the way is less than $4 a day. And you also don't have a ton of knowledge on how to invest your money. So you just put your money into the stock market, which we know has averaged more than a 10% return a year, but I'm going to be generous. Let's say only 10% a year. Assuming that you never invest more money, even though you start earning more money at 25, you earn even more money at 30, you earn more money at 40 and 50 and beyond. Let's assume you only invest $100 a month. Well, because you started investing early, you are going to retire a millionaire with more than $1 million based off of your small $100 a month investment. But look at what happens if you don't start investing at 21. Let's say you start investing at 27, which is still super early. And now you start investing the same $100 a month because you say, hey, I'm still early to my investments. You get the same 10% annual return. Well, now you're not going to have $1 million. You're not going to have $750,000. You're going to have a little bit over $580,000. Still a lot of money, but you missed out on hundreds of thousands of dollars of wealth just by starting a little bit later. But what if you start a little bit after that? Let's say you start at 35, which in the grand scheme of things is still super young. You're still ahead of many Americans that don't start investing until way later. And if you say, I'm just going to invest the same $100 a month, well now, if you get the same 10% return, you're not going to have $500,000. You're not going to have $400,000. You're not going to have $300,000. You'll have a little bit over $250,000. A little bit over $250,000. If you start at 35, you would have to invest 4 times as much money. You'd have to invest about $400 a month to get to the same $1 million in retirement. Yes, very feasible. What I'm trying to show you is the later you start, the more aggressive you're going to have to be to build that wealth. It's not impossible, but this is why it's better to start sooner, even if it's just a little bit of money, because now you have the time value of money. You have your money compounding, working to build you more wealth. Money habit number 5, you're focused on what's in other people's wallets as opposed to your own. When I was in college, I became a real estate salesperson, and I found this couple that I worked with for months to help them find their dream home. And we had finally found this home. It was about $500,000. And now it's time for us to actually enter in the contract to actually purchase this house. And the couple sits me down and they say, Jaspreet, we're ready to close the house. We love the house. Thank you for all of your hard work for the last number of months. But we don't think that a college kid like you should have the full commission, because it would have been about $15,000 paid by the seller. Instead, we, the buyers, believe that you should give us half of your commission. That way we actually buy the house. And I didn't really understand. I said, what do you mean? I put in all this work. And essentially, they wanted me to give them half of my commission. Now, I was young, I was a hardhead, but I decided to walk away from the deal. And the buyers ended up losing out on their dream house because they were focused on what I was getting as opposed to paying attention to what they could have gotten, which was their dream house. Now, the interesting thing was they had already signed a contract in the early days of us working together because they knew that I was going to get 3% of the purchase price of the house generally, and that price is paid for by the seller, not the buyer. They had already known this. It was just their way of now saying, hey, we're ready to close. Can you give us some of the money that you're going to make? Because we don't think you should make all this money. What I'm trying to show you is sometimes we get caught up in focusing on what other people are going to get. We get focused on, oh, if I buy this from you, you're going to make this money. You're getting rich, or rich people are evil. We start to create all these smoke screens and start to worry about other things as opposed to the value that we get. I want you to focus on you, because what other people are getting is not going to impact you. Somebody else getting rich doesn't prevent you from getting rich. Somebody else getting money doesn't stop you from getting money. You got to look at the value you're getting. Sometimes you can pay somebody $1 and get $2 of value in return. Maybe the value is in the form of convenience. Maybe the value is in the form of education. Maybe the value is in the form of some sort of knowledge to help you earn more money. Doesn't matter what it is. But if you want to become wealthy, you have to start thinking like the wealthy. Wealthy people don't become rich and wealthy and then start changing the way they think. You have to change the way you think to actually become wealthy. And wealthy people want to focus on the value that they get, and they're not caught up in what everybody else is getting. Money habit number 6 is you think twice before you invest in yourself. I get a lot of questions from people asking, Jaspreet, which book should I read? I don't want to buy the wrong books. Which classes should I get? I don't want to buy the wrong classes. Which program should I take? I don't want to take the wrong programs. And we think so hard about investing in ourselves before we spend $20 investing in ourselves, or $200 or $2,000 investing in ourselves. We put in all this scrutiny, all this time, and all this effort thinking about how do we get the best return when it comes to investing in ourselves. But now let's flip the script a little bit. When it comes to buying, say, a $2,000 vacation, or going out with friends and spending a few $100s, how many times do we put in the same scrutiny, the same effort, the same questioning before we spend a few $100s on something for ourselves? New clothes, going out, a vacation. Oftentimes it's not that much. We will very freely, willy-nilly spend that money when it doesn't actually give you a return on your investment. But when it comes to your own investment in yourself that can have a real ROI, we start to really scrutinize that. And this is where I want you to start flipping the script. When it comes to investing in yourself, I want you to be a little bit more willing. Obviously, don't go and buy dumb things that you don't need, but be willing to invest in yourself, to learn, read more books, listen to more podcasts, buy more classes, take more programs that will actually help you, and use it. Don't just buy them and not use them. Please, please don't do that. Buy things that you're going to use. Buy classes that you're going to take. Buy books that you're going to read. And when it comes to spending money on things that you don't need, that aren't going to add value, Now be a little bit more cautious on who you're spending time with, on how you're spending your time, on where you're spending your money. And finally, money habit number 7 is you have no buffer in your finances. The mistake that so many people make, because I've seen this now, I've been teaching financial education for about a decade, is as people make more money, they say that they're going to save more and invest more and be financially smarter. But what really happens is you make more money and then boop, your expenses magically go up as well. You make more money and all of a sudden your liabilities go up. Why? Because number one, as you make more money, now you want a nicer car to show it off. You want a nicer apartment, a nicer house to show that, hey, I got a promotion, I got a nice bonus. And when you get that nice raise, well, you got to celebrate by going to Cancun. It's very common. It's very normal. It's what's average. But this is where you have to have a system. That way, as you make more money, you're also paying yourself more. I'll show you what I mean. A very simple rule that you can follow is something like 75, 15, 10, which says for every dollar that you earn from here on out, 75 cents is the maximum that you can spend. 15 cents is the minimum that you are investing, and 10 cents is the minimum that you're saving. That way, whether you make it $20,000 a year or $2 million a year, you're always saving more money. You're always working to invest more money. And you're always spending what's left. You're always paying yourself, and by paying yourself, I don't mean going to the Gucci store, I mean investing your money, because your investments are what will make you wealthy. Your investments are what will give you the financial freedom. Your savings are there to protect you against an emergency, because sometimes things go wrong and you want to have money to protect you. And now you have a true system in place. That way, as you start to earn more money through your career, because I know you're working to earn more money, you're working hard, well, now you're not just spending all that money. You're working to earn more money, that we can build your wealth before you make everybody else's wealth. Again, if you want to learn more about the ins and outs of how you start investing, I have a ton of videos on my channel, or once you join Market Briefs, you'll also get access to my free investing masterclass as well. This is how the majority of Americans statistically manage their finances. Let's assume that you make, as a household, $60,000 a year, which is $5,000 a month. Now, who's the first person that you're going to pay? It's not Chipotle and it's not Amazon. It's the government. Because if you're working a job...